Donald Trump is bringing a whole-of-government approach to sowing doubt about the U.S. election system and has deployed federal agencies, the FBI, the CIA, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, as well as the Justice Department, to investigate what he calls a cover-up of China's influence in U.S. elections. Voting rights activist Stacey Abrams warns these officials have been handed a weapon.
That is part of what authoritarianism does. It uses the weapons of democratic institutions to undermine democracy. And at the core of that, the core of democracy is our ability to cast a ballot and determine the direction of government.
Joining me now, Michael Feinberg, former assistant special agent in charge with the FBI, and former CIA officer Mark Polymeropoulos is joining us again. Both are MS Now national security and intelligence analysts. So, Michael, you spent the overwhelming majority of your FBI career combating China's intelligence service. Donald Trump claimed China illegally acquired 220 million U.S. voter files in the run-up to the 2020 election, and the U.S. voting system is compromised. You view Donald Trump's speech as a work of fiction. So explain why you think that is, and his document dump, why that should be ignored.
So it's really important to note that the intelligence community gathers hundreds of thousands of data points or pieces of information on any given day. They hear things from human sources who are witting or unwitting spies. They intercept emails and telephone calls as signals intelligence. They look at environmental variables. They look at changes in geography. And when something is particularly interesting in that it can give an answer to a U.S. policy question, they vet that information and they corroborate it with other sources. They look at whether the person providing it has been reliable in the past. If it's human reporting, is there signals intelligence to back it up? If it's signals intelligence, is there human reporting to back it up? And that's sort of how the community figures out what's true and what's not. But everything it collects, including the stuff that turns out not to be true, is still in its holdings. It still has the imprimatur of being documented by the CIA or the FBI or the NSA. And what I suspect we saw with this document dump is that a lot of that information was provided out of context. And because of this selective declassification, they're not providing the public any way to know whether any of it's true. And some of the documents, and Mark can probably speak better to this as well, I'll be blunt, they just don't look real. There's one memorandum in there that claims to be a CIA note, but it's undated. It contains no source information, redacted or unredacted. It states conclusions, but not any sort of analysis. It looks almost like something that was created in haste by somebody not familiar with the process. And I can't state that with certainty. I'm not making a factual allegation. I'm just saying that document looks like nothing I ever saw in the intelligence community.
So to you, Mark, your reaction to that?
Yeah, I think Michael's got it exactly right. Look, the U.S. intelligence community, kind of sucks up a great deal of information. Whether it's a human source, I was a case officer for CIA. I met assets. I met our agents. Sometimes there was a walk-in, and oftentimes the information is not corroborated. Sometimes it's totally false. Sometimes someone's lying to you. Same thing with a signals intercept. Just because you're intercepting communications, it could be based on third or fourth-hand information. And so it's very easy to selectively take documents and kind of build a case like this. And look, one of the things that has to be said very clearly is the president of the United States is the #1 consumer for the intelligence community. You have to be very careful on what you brief them. You don't brief him or her on uncorroborated information ever. You have finished analysis, which would be a piece that actually contained, all sorts of both, operational human intelligence pieces and signals intelligence. And then the analyst would provide their ultimate conclusion on this. And so, that's what's most important. What was the intelligence community, the analyst, providing to the White House and to others in the cabinet, not this raw information. And so it's very easy to cherry pick this. And I think, as Michael said, it's exactly what happened.
Let's hear what John Solomon, a former journalist, an election denier, and member of Trump's election task force, told my colleague Vaughn Hilliard right after Trump's speech. Take a listen to this. Oh, that is so unfortunate. I was just told we don't have it. Let me just give you a little bit of the 401 on this. Vaughn Hilliard asks, the 2020 election was, in fact, the results as we, the American people, have seen it. And he says, I'm still researching. Let me say this is the first. And Vaughn says to him, but there's no intelligence. Oh, guess what? They have it. It's much better if you hear it from Vaughn. Take a listen, everybody.
Did you acknowledge that there were no votes changed in 2020?
All I can acknowledge is what the intelligence shows, right? I only know the intelligence community has zero evidence that someone has flipped, that a foreign power flipped a vote in 2020, 22, or 24.
So the 2020 election was, in fact, the results as we, the American public.
I'm still researching, so let me. This is the first.
But there's no intelligence.
Not yet.
There is no intelligence that the election would have said that Donald Trump was president.
The president said that tonight.
Michael. Trump's own election fraud guy says he's still searching for proof and the documents don't back up the president's claims. And yet, is there something still somewhat nefarious about the administration's election security performance over the past day or so?
Yeah, if we could go back for 1 second, because I missed the part when you were reciting John Solomon's resume, where you mentioned his intelligence community experience that gives him the credibility to evaluate raw and finished intelligence and related products.
Didn't put that out there, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is not somebody who has the slightest bit of familiarity with the world into which he is now entering. And it's legitimate for the American people to ask, why is a political journalist who has never, to my knowledge, published a word critical of Trump and who has been edged out of a number of publications because of conspiratorial musings, somebody that the White House should be listening to? But even if we take that into account, the very fact that someone with that background and temperament is admitting to a reporter that there's no evidence that the election was somehow mishandled or thwarted or interfered with speaks volumes. I'll be honest, I don't understand why anybody would take any of the pronouncements that the nation heard Thursday night with the slightest ounce of seriousness.
I'm going to leave it there for this conversation, guys, and also apologies, but we have had we had to make it a little briefer than we anticipated just because of the breaking news out of Iran and the death of those two U.S. soldiers. But thank you so much. It's always good to see both of you. Thank you.